As you can see, we made it back safely.
So, welcome to the long free ride. So let's take a look at some of the stats. You know I love the stats for this trip. We covered 4,628 miles, so about 1,000 miles less than we did on our trip last year all the way to the top of Norway, but still a fair old schlep.
We put in 1.9 megawatts, is that right?
Yeah.
I still don't know what that means.
We put 1,942 kilowatts, which is 1.9 megawatts of electricity into the car to get us those 4,600 miles.
And it meant we charged the car 44 times.
Which took 23 hours. Now, I think a lot of people will be going, 23 hours sitting there charging. Oh, how did you do it? But of course, we're not there sitting there. We're sitting in a restaurant or we're sitting in a services having a coffee. We're not actually sitting in the car. True, we are some of the time, but if you work it out, each of those charges would have been on average about 30 minutes. And if you think about, jumping out your car and going over to pee and doing all that sort of stuff, sorry, I'm not allowed to say that, and getting a coffee and a cake or something, then that's at least 20 minutes by the time you've walked across the car park and stuff, because the charges are never seem to be close to the buildings. They're always tucked away somewhere. You probably 25 of that 30 minutes is already gone.
I think on this trip, the charges were in more retail parks or on a street that you could easily walk to something to see or a shopping centre, rather than Norway, where I really felt we were in the middle of nowhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, Norway,
yeah,
there's a lot of places in Norway that are in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. On what we were doing this time, much more populated areas. So, very much more a case of them being at shopping centres or somewhere where you could just take a little walk and go and have a look at what was around. And lots of hotels as well.
Yeah, so charges in the car parks of hotels.
Yeah. Where you could go in and get a coffee.
And some really, really nice posh places.
Well, yes, you got taken in by some of those, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. They're on my revisit list.
Yeah, they might not be on mine. Got other things to see first. Yeah. And in terms of the cost, we spent £21.15 in charging. As you know, by now we get free supercharging at Tesla chargers. But we did have to put some extra juice in. I say have to. We chose to. Because I'd been so ill in Lisbon, there was no way we wanted to be either stuck or having to drive really slowly in order to eke out the electricity to get to the charging. We just wanted to be on the move, so we added some extra charge.
And that's one of my memories of the trip, actually, of me sort of feeling like I stepped up more. And I went to the car park on my own, moved the car, worked out a different app in a foreign language to try and get the damn thing charging in the first place, none of which I'd done before, but it has given me a sort of increased confidence that I could take the Tesla on a road trip even on my own, which I think before this trip I still would have said no, I'm not confident in doing that.
Well, I mean, you had to step up a bit because I'd stepped back a bit. Sadly. But if we'd had to pay for the supercharging that we had used on the trip, it would have cost us £538.36, working on a 1.16 euros to the pound. Obviously, that's always moving, but that was the figure we chose when we got back.
Yeah, and I know it's somewhat complicated and we've had to use averages, but in a petrol vehicle, that same mileage would have cost just about the same, we worked out,
Yes.
if the petrol car can do 50 miles to the gallon the whole time.
Yes, if it can do 50 miles to the gallon across all of the types of roads that we went on, and it, you know, a lot of them nowadays would do on the motorway type stuff. Maybe not if they were at 70, but yeah, if they could do 50 to the gallon, then it would have worked out around about £546. Again, taking an average cost per litre across Europe and the UK. So yeah, so there's not a lot of difference in price in terms of the actual charging.
Yeah, but of course there's massive difference when it comes to servicing the car.
Well, the overall running costs, because the electric cars are so much cheaper in terms of their running cost. My car's now done 93,000 miles and it's never had a service. Now, you can't, if you try to find any other car, a sports car that would do 0 to 60 in something stupid seconds, 3.8 seconds or something. Yeah, and then you'd worked out the running costs on those to do these sorts of trips. It'd be astronomical. And I've had cars that have been performance cars like that in the past, big Audis and those sorts of cars, and yeah, you're forever changing the brakes and the rotors, and you're having to have some belt or another changed, and it's costing you thousands. So
so I think that's the takeaway for me, is although the cost of the sort of fuel to do these trips is probably about equivalent if you haven't got the free supercharging deal.
Yeah, but
the actual run rate of your car,
yes,
is totally different, and
But the thing to remember is, in terms of public charging, Tesla are probably some of the cheapest chargers out there.
Yeah.
And you might go, oh yeah, but I don't want to buy a Tesla, I want to buy a Hyundai. Well, the fact is in Europe and to some extent in the UK, there are a lot of Tesla chargers now that are open to all vehicles. So you won't quite get the same rate as the Tesla drivers, but the rate you get is still very competitive compared to the Ionities of this world and the other charging networks that are out there.
Yeah, and we saw several times other makes of car using the Tesla charger and without any problems whatsoever.
Oh yeah, well I mean it's just electricity at the end of the day.
So long as they've got the adapter.
As long as you've got, well, they don't need the adapter. As long as they've got a CCS charging port, plug it in and off you go. It's us that doesn't have the CCS. That's why we need an adapter.
Yeah, okay.
Because my car didn't. It was produced before CCS was a standard.
And that, to be fair, is the only thing really I've struggled with on the car, that sometimes I don't have the manual dexterity to get it off.
Well, it's the muscle power, isn't it? You push the connector on and then you can't get it back off. You just have a wiggle it a bit and it'll come off.
Yeah.
Better that it's tight than it's loose.
Yeah, no, I get it. But sometimes if I was on my own, I would have to perhaps wait for another driver to come and perhaps help me get the damn adapter off.
Ask him to wiggle your adapter.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, let's go back to the fact it's a performance vehicle, because you have got a speeding ticket.
Well, no. You say I've got a speeding ticket.
I said you collectively.
Oh, you collectively.
Okay, we collectively did get a speeding ticket on.
We
this
did.
trip.
We're €50, so £43.10 for being naughty in Spain.
Yes.
And I think it was you, because I was constantly telling you, do you know what the speed limit is here? However, when I looked at it, I was unsure as to exactly the location of the camera, and so therefore who it was who was driving. We couldn't really remember because obviously we swap over driving and we don't always film
No.
every single bit, so it's we don't know exactly who was at the wheel at the time.
But we do know that was the day we reached the target of the trip to get to the southernlymost mainland Europe charger on the Tesla network at Algeciras.
Well, currently, let's put it that way.
Okay. And
I don't think you'd have to build one pretty close by. You'd have to build one on the tip of Gibraltar, I think, or something like that, for it to be further south on the European mainland than Algeciras is. Because, I mean, you are literally a mile and a half from North Africa there. I mean, it's just across the Straits of Gibraltar.
Yeah, and that was the day we were rushing to get to Ronda for lunch.
Well, we weren't rushing at that point, were we? We thought we got all the time in the world until all the cyclists.
Well, no, I think we were still under pressure because you didn't let me go shopping in the shopping centre.
Well, maybe I just made up that pressure.
I remember that very clearly.
Anyway, it's not about the shopping.
No, but the lunch in Ronda was well worth going to, cyclists or no cyclists.
Yeah, well, I told you it was a nice place. So.
Yeah, it was a very nice place.
And in terms of places, are there any that stand out for you, or any that were less than, I don't know, didn't have the je ne sais quoi?
Yes, for sure. So, Lisbon, I don't feel I've seen properly. Even though we were there for longer than
I only saw it from a tuk-tuk, and that was it. And there I was more worried about my kidneys ending up on the wrong side of my body and my spine being snapped.
Yeah, I mean, I did feel my teeth were going to be dislodged from my skull.
Yeah, as we said in the video, the tuk-tuk looks like a really good idea until you get in it and work out how bad the suspension is.
Yeah.
And how rubbish the roads are.
Yeah, so Lisbon I don't feel I saw properly. To comment really. Seville I would go back to in a heartbeat.
Yep. Cordoba.
Yeah, I'm less.
Yeah, I would though.
Yeah.
You'd like a sort of seafront holiday in
Cadiz, maybe.
Cadiz, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But I don't think there was a lot more there to see unless you're really into looking around ports.
Yeah, but Cordoba, it's all religious stuff left, really. I don't know.
Well, it's historical stuff, but a lot of historical stuff that's left and that has been preserved revolves around some of the most important buildings, and in those times they were religious buildings. I mean, I see the cathedrals and a lot of the things that we go and see on our trips, because a lot of people do say, "Oh, you go to a lot of cathedrals," when in fact we don't particularly follow any religion whatsoever. Why do you go to all these places? But to my mind, they're the pyramids of Europe. They are the bastions of what was believed in many years gone by, and from that you can work out again a lot about the culture and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, I just didn't get any sort of spiritual feeling or sentiment because of the number of people there. So, for example, I kept hoping and kept trying that this is the one that's going to give me that sense of faith and following, and I didn't get it.
I didn't know you'd gone on this trip to be born again.
No, but just
Barcelona, it's a revelation.
Barcelona Cathedral. It's absolutely stunning, great storytelling.
La Sagrada Familia.
Yeah, loved it. Will stick in the memory a long time. I think you did a great shot on the footage, with the light coming in.
Oh, some of the light coming in there. I mean, it is absolutely mind-blowing if you get the opportunity to go and see it on. Obviously, it needs to be a sunny day, but the tapestry of light that is woven within that building is a sight to behold, and so unlike virtually any other cathedral that I've visited.
Yeah, so I'm really proud of you and the work you did on that. I think that was
I just pointed the camera at it and set the settings right.
Well, yeah, but that was a really good job. But sitting in the pews in the cathedral I didn't get any sort of sense of, I don't know, what I was expecting.
No, but maybe if you got to go there without there being 2,500 other people in the
Playing
place
audio guidebooks.
playing audio guidebooks and everything, yeah, then maybe you would have
Yeah, maybe.
had an awakening, darling.
Well,
Who knows?
so where would you go back to?
I can tell you where I wouldn't go back to.
Okay, it's not the question I've asked.
No, but it's the question I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer my own question.
Okay.
So I wouldn't go back to Grenoble, even though I didn't particularly see it. I don't think there was much there to see, but it was just a convenient place to stop. I wouldn't go back to Cannes. I'd can.
Yeah, well, it took you a while to get out the car in Cannes.
Well, that's because it was raining so much. But no, even when we got to the seafront on a nice day, it was all being dug up. And I mean, maybe if all of that hadn't been there, it would have been nice to walk along the seafront and stuff. But I don't know. It was nice, but it didn't make me want to necessarily go back there. I wouldn't go back to Carcassonne. Kind of seeing it, done it.
Yeah, because it's all about the medieval.
It's all about the medieval thing, and we went and visited it once late afternoon and into the evening, and then we had the walking tour the next day. So I think we kind of saw pretty much all of that and learned a lot about the history of it. So I wouldn't bother going back there. Would go back to Cordoba. Would go back to Barcelona. Would go back to Seville. You'd like to do a sort of a long weekend or something in Cadiz, wouldn't you? But mainly just to sit on the seafront and enjoy coffees and.
But I'd also do some sort of Spanish cooking course in Valencia to get paella.
Yeah, now Valencia. I mean, it's terrible what's happened there with all the floods and stuff. Some of the stories are truly horrific. So our hearts do go out to Valencia because all of that has happened since we got back, all the flooding.
Yeah.
But we'd love to go back there. I mean, it's kind of weird in that rivers give life to cities. There is almost no city that doesn't have a good river running through it. And of course, the river doesn't run through Valencia now. It was diverted because of flooding years and years and years ago. But that riverbed now just gives this ribbon of land through the city that has been used for so many different things. It's, gave them all that extra space where you didn't have to knock stuff down in order to achieve it.
Or the green park and the sports facilities for the kids. And
and the science centre and, all of that sort of thing. Yeah, it was, we'd definitely go back there. And again, our commiserations to the people of.
Are we going to talk about the elephant in the room?
What you mean, my health? Well, it's worth covering because obviously it did feature in the trip a bit. As I explained on one of the videos, I have something called allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis and also bronchiectasis. Since we've come back, there have been a couple of developments in that, not particularly positive, which is that I've been seeing the Royal Brompton Hospital, which is kind of the top lung hospital in the UK, and they have told me recently that I'm not sick enough to qualify for the medicines that might alleviate some of the sickness and make my breathing easier because they're too expensive and I don't have enough trouble at the moment in order to qualify.
So that's actually good news.
It depends on the spin you want to put on it, but yeah. However, that has then prompted the team at Brighton, who are a great team of people, to say, well, if they're not going to do something, we will try a different type of medication than ones I've taken before and see how you get on with that. So I'm about to start what will probably be a 3-month course of treatments, lots and lots of tablets, literally bags and bags of tablets I'm being collecting from pharmacies.
Yeah, and you'll need regular blood tests to check your liver function as a result.
Yeah, and
all those good things.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes along with it because not all of them are very nice medicines, and I have to take stomach protectors and whatever. Anyway,
You are being looked after.
I am being, yes. Hopefully, that might make a bit of a difference, but only time is going to tell on that. So I guess we need to make sure that we get on and do more stuff because getting older is not going to make this get better.
No.
So on its own, so better to get on and enjoy the time you've got than necessarily, well, the time that you have to be active and do stuff you want to do. So next trip. Yes. Well, we've had a chat about it, and I came up right at the beginning of all of this adventure with the concept of doing petals. So we did a sort of petal up and round and into Norway. We've done a petal down now south and into Spain, and we can't fill out too many petals to the west because it's mainly sea. But to the east, we have a lot more petals we can fill around to make up the flower. And I think it would be great to go and take a look at Italy and the Sardinia, and then possibly cross over into Croatia and come back up through there and a variety of places where we haven't even started. We've just kind of looked at it being a petal, not looked at it in terms of how feasible is it. But
some of the driving, if we do sort of France, Switzerland down to Italy, some of the driving there should be good.
It should be well, again, there are so many we've been to a number of places in Italy, but there are still many places we haven't been, and there are lots of historic cities there. So
and lots of food opportunities in Italy.
Obviously, it's all about the food, isn't it? But the key thing is...
and Swiss chocolate.
Yeah, okay, can we stop about the food? The key thing is to make sure you stay subscribed. And if you want notifications, make sure you ding that bell because the frequency of our videos will now drop off. We'll probably do a few specials, but you're probably not going to hear a lot of us until we do the long free ride.
Part 3.
So thanks for being part of part 2.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Thank you.